who are you? What is Near MCP? And what did you ship last week or
Sure.
this week?
I'm Alex. I'm an engineer at Near AI, and I'm working on Near MCP as part of my work at Near AI. And Near MCP, for people who aren't aware, I presume most of the audience is in the whole AI world. I'm presuming they've heard of MCP, but for people who haven't, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's a protocol that was made by Anthropic probably over half a year ago now. Time moves so quick; it's hard to remember what came out when, and so many things happening. And MCP is effectively a protocol, a whole system to imbue language models with extra context. At least that's how on the website MCP defines itself. However, canonically, people are using MCP and making MCP servers to allow LLMs to interface with other systems, giving them like pre-packaged function calling interface to talk with some other system. And so, again, part of my work at Near AI, I made the Near MCP server. And I'm going to demo something about Near MCP. This was something that I shipped this week, which was integration with Rhea Finance. Rhea Finance is a DEX on Near. And so now, through Near MCP, you can talk with the language model, and the language model should be able to talk with Rhea Finance in the right way to swap tokens on your behalf. So I will share my screen and I'll show
Hey,
it.
Alex, real quick, I just want to get clear. If with Near MCP, with Claude Code or Claude generally, you're going to be able to communicate with any Near smart contract API. Is that correct? But you've applied it for Ref right now.
Correct. Yeah. So right now you can talk to any smart contract on Near right now that's deployed, mainnet or testnet. The demo I'm going to do is just using Rhea Finance on mainnet. I had to make very explicit trade or function calling for Rhea Finance because Rhea Finance is a very complicated smart contract. And if you try to have the LLMs are not at the point where they can make 10 smart contract calls and are aware contextually about how every smart contract operates. So I put in a few utility helper calls to allow the LLM to be able to swap much, much easier.
Cool.
So yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, let me see if you can share my screen. I don't know if you can see. I'm presuming yes. Okay. If you can see, then I'll just continue. So I'm going to launch Claude Code. This Claude Code is effectively similar to a ChatGPT terminal user interface. So I can just say something like "Hey," and just like ChatGPT, you'll get a response back. However, this is talking with Claude. So the benefit of Claude Code and the reason why I'm using it is because I personally prefer it's one of the best MCP and simplest like MCP clients. So if you want to put in your own MCP server, Claude Code makes it extremely easy to do that. For example, I can exit out here and I can do, if I remember the correct command, Claude MCP add. So example, this command right here is how you would add the Near MCP server to your Claude Code installation effectively. And you can do this with there's many other MCP servers out there that you can add. Anyway, I will launch Claude Code. And one way you can, how you would initially start is you can see what MCP servers you have available by doing /MCP. So we have the Near MCP server enabled, and you can ask simple things. So I've been interacting with Near MCP as I made it. So you can say things like, what accounts do I have loaded? And so I preloaded an existing account. This account paper_prompt.near, and it's on mainnet. And we'll just go, I'll demonstrate some of the new functionality or some of the existing functionality with the Near MCP servers. You can send tokens, receive tokens, sign data. You can interact with smart contracts like Cameron and I were talking about before. And a bunch of others. I recommend just checking the GitHub. There's a bunch of different functionality. But now we'll talk about the new functionality about Rhea Finance. So if I say how much, let's say I want to swap between USDC and USDT. These are US dollar stablecoins on the Near network. They're both like native tokens. So if I do this, how much USDT native will I get if I swap for, let's say, 1 penny of USDC native. And hopefully, if Claude is feeling good today and knows how to talk about the right things, we should be able to get the right, we should be able to call the right commands and tell us what we'll get out. So here, for example, it's telling us, it's calling a bunch of different functions, but the main one that it was talking through is this new function call that we just added, Rhea Finance get swap estimate. It's a little bit cut off here. And you can see it puts in the right contracts and the right amounts and tells us you'll approximately get 0.009, approximately the same amount out minus whatever additional fees. So this is just the estimate. And now we can say, do that swap now. And hopefully Claude will call the actual execute swap. And if we wait a few seconds, in the background, we're calling exactly that Rhea Finance smart contract and doing this swap. And there we go. So transaction was executed. You can see that we swapped that for that exact amount of USDT. And now if I can say like how much USDT do I have now? We should Claude or the LLM should be smart enough to call the right things. And you can see it called. This did a read call on the Tether smart contract, telling us that we have 7 cents. So yeah, I've done this demo a few times. So of swapping a penny back and forth. So yeah, this is the main thing. So now in the near MCP server, you can swap between tokens to your heart's content. The next use case I'm going to be developing in is integrating near intents. So now not only can you swap between tokens in the near blockchain, but you'll also be able to swap between blockchains just by typing a few sentences. So that's next, and that's a demo. Thank you all for listening. Oh, I'll say one more thing. If you want to try the near MCP server yourself, this is the GitHub. It's at github.com near-AI/near-MCP. And the first thing is how to use it with Claude Code. Try it yourself or try using it in your MCP client of choice, whether that be Cursor or Windsurf or anything else. And please let me know if there's any issues. Put an issue on GitHub if there's a certain feature that you're looking for that is not provided in the near MCP server but related to the near ecosystem. Please put in an issue, and we can get working on integrating it. So yeah, thank you.
This is so exciting. I kind of hate using a lot of crypto apps because they're hard to navigate. I do think that these MCP servers and just like being able to transact in natural language is going to open up crypto to everybody in the world. So I think that this is like groundbreaking. And at the end of the day, hopefully we don't have to continuously sign transactions every single time we want to do anything. So this is huge.
That would be nice.
My biggest issue is potential hallucinations. LLMs aren't amazing with money. How do you plan to hedge potential issues and hallucinations?
So excellent question. It's definitely difficult there's no silver bullet to solving hallucinations. The only thing we can really do is try and make them less and less likely. Because again, LLMs are stochastic by nature. Even if you do temperature 0 in your sampling, you still don't know a priori what you're going to get out unless it's the same exact prompt. The ways that I've been trying to put into the MCP server to try and reduce hallucinations more is one, making sure the prompting or the descriptions on every tool is very explicit. Trying to make sure have an estimate function before you actually execute it to make sure that the user should be sure before you're actually executing the next command. So now in the demo I just gave with Claude Code, I actually was running things in dangerous mode. I say don't ask me yes or no, just execute the commands, just because like the LLM to raw dog have my wallet. But
yeah,
normally you can just in Claude Code you have to explicitly allow any explicit action, so you can see if there's any hallucinations before you execute it.
Got it. Also, one other issue that I generally have with some of these AI systems where they run my wallet, how do you manage my private key? How is this private key stored? And
Sure.
I want to make sure it can't run away with all my money.
So the MCP server is designed to be run on your local machine. We do enable you to communicate now through server-side events. So you could host a near MCP server. However, we don't support multi-tenancy. That can be a feature that we can build in the future. We do allow people to like run their MCP server. We have a whole guide contributed by the community on how to run the MCP server in Fala. So you can have your own private instance of your MCP server that you communicate directly to. But the keys are stored like a standard, like standardly how the near CLI stores things, which is on your disk, which is on your local file system. Yeah.
Got it. Yep. Critical. This is amazing stuff. Alex, is there anything else that you want to share before we move on to Charles?
Yeah, I'll say one quick thing. That like LLMs, I think, are the coolest things since sliced bread. And like you were mentioning, LLMs are like using some apps in general, not just crypto apps, are sometimes painstakingly complicated. Like I'm not the best at Photoshop, but I know people who are, who spent a long time. It would be nice if there was a way I can just speak how I want it and have the LLM be able to interface with the application. This is kind of like MCP servers are a way for us to communicate from our natural language to the right executions to get the things that we want. LLMs are basically the greatest translation layer of like human language to structured data that kind of we've ever met. This to me is the killer app with LLMs. It's basically word vomit to structured actions. And I look forward to seeing like just how the ecosystem evolves in MCP servers and seeing how we better do that translation. Yeah, thank you for having me on. That's it.
Amazing stuff, man. Thank you, Alex.